In 2019, a Sicilian town listed 15 homes for €1 each. Not 1,000. 1. More than 50 Italian municipalities have now made the same offer, and it is real. But so is the catch: deposit bonds, renovation deadlines, and repair bills that can climb past €50,000. The real mystery behind Europe's €1 houses isn't the price. It's what made these towns desperate enough to try. Giving away real estate for less than the price of an espresso sounds like a late-night internet hoax or a desperate publicity stunt. Yet, these deeds are legally binding, signed in municipal offices, and backed by local governments. The real question is, what drives a town council to practically strip its own tax registry of value? This is not a playful marketing campaign designed to trend on social media for a weekend. It is a calculated, public survival strategy. For these decaying communities, the empty houses are merely the most visible symptom of a much deeper structural emergency. In January 2019, the Sicilian town of Sambuca di Sicilia turned this emergency into official policy. The municipal council, led by Mayor Leonardo Ciaccio, voted to place 15 abandoned, town-owned properties up for auction at a starting price of €1. While international headlines treated the offer as a quirky real estate promotion, local leaders viewed the auction as a calculated survival mechanism. Since 2000, Sambuca's population had plummeted toward 5,000, leaving behind hundreds of empty stone shells that paid no taxes and threatened public safety. The municipal budget faced severe fiscal stress, even triggering a state-mandated financial audit. Traditional public funding could no longer maintain the infrastructure. By selling these decaying structures, Mayor Ciaccio aimed to force private capital directly into the town's empty streets. The strategy legally transferred the financial burden of preservation to new owners who would rebuild the physical structures and join the local tax registry. For a community facing systemic collapse, transferring these idle assets was a practical bid to keep the town from disappearing entirely. Olalai, a mountain village in the rugged heart of Sardinia, set this exact strategy in motion in 2018. Over several decades, the town's population had plummeted by 25%, leaving barely 1,200 residents and a quiet maze of decaying stone cottages. For outsiders, the town's €1 campaign offered an incredibly cheap gateway into a slow-paced Mediterranean lifestyle. For local leaders, it was a practical attempt to rescue a community on the verge of disappearing. This Sardinian experiment proved that the concept was not an isolated anomaly, but a repeatable blueprint. As other villages began copying the initiative, the phenomenon raised a fundamental question. Could a dying town genuinely buy its way out of demographic collapse with a single coin? Or were these councils simply exporting their structural problems to hopeful outsiders? This strategy quickly spread. Dozens of towns across Italy soon adopted their own versions of the €1 model, turning a local survival strategy into a repeatable municipal template. The same quiet crisis of rural decay has driven similar symbolic price programs into existence in the plains of Castile-La Mancha and Andalusia in Spain, as well as the historic villages of Auvergne-Rhône Alps in France. Behind each offer lies a shared mathematical reality: rapidly aging populations, steady youth outmigration, and streets lined with boarded-up shops. In many of these places, half the houses sit empty, their legal ownership fragmented across generations of heirs who have long since moved away. For local governments, these decaying properties represent a constant drain on resources. With shrinking populations and stagnant tax bases, local councils face shrinking budgets that make maintaining basic public services nearly impossible. Passing these properties to new owners is a direct attempt to stop municipal insolvency. The purchase of a €1 home is not a simple transaction. It is a legally binding commitment to the municipality. The single coin handed over in the town hall is merely a symbolic entry fee. The real binding force is the contract, which immediately strips away any illusions of a free house. To secure the deed, buyers must first post a refundable security bond, typically €5,000, though Sambuca di Sicilia raised this to €6,000 in 2022. This bond acts as a financial guarantee of compliance. If a buyer fails to meet the municipal terms, that money is forfeited to the local treasury. The primary clause in these agreements is a strict timeline. New owners generally have just 12 months to submit a detailed architectural plan and 3 years to complete a full restoration. This is where the paper budget collides with reality. Most of these structures have sat empty for decades. They lack plumbing, electricity, and basic structural integrity. Italian building codes mandate expensive seismic retrofitting, which alone can add hundreds of euros per square meter. A modest renovation typically runs between €20,000 and €50,000. For more ambitious restorations, the final invoice can soar. Meredith Taboni, who bought a property in Sambuca in 2019, spent roughly €475,000 over 4 years to transform her crumbling purchase. Before a single brick is laid, buyers must also confront a complex web of local bureaucracy. Demolition permits, architectural approvals, and municipal selection rules frequently delay progress for months. For those who underestimate the paperwork and construction costs, backing out comes with a steep price. When multiple buyers in Sambuca withdrew after receiving structural estimates exceeding €100,000, the town council kept their €5,000 deposits. The contract ensures that whether a house is built or abandoned, the town never loses. Meredith Tabon represents the extreme upper limit of what success looks like. After winning her bid on a Sambuca property, she spent 4 years managing local contractors, supply chain delays, and structural surprises. By the time the final brick was laid, her symbolic purchase had cost her €475,000. For Tabon, the result was a stunning vacation home and a strong connection to the community. But this path requires a level of patience, time, and liquid capital that few average buyers possess, turning the symbolic bargain into a luxury investment. On the other side of the ledger are the buyers who simply walked away. When faced with contractor quotes that reach 6 figures just to make the structure safe, multiple applicants chose to forfeit their initial deposits rather than throw good money after bad. For these individuals, the dream of a cheap Mediterranean escape ended in a quiet municipal office with a lost bond and nothing to show for it. The physical scorecard across these towns reflects this sharp divide. In Olalai, only about 10 houses have been successfully renovated and occupied out of dozens listed over the years. In Sambuca, while some properties now operate as seasonal vacation rentals, many more remain encased in scaffolding that never seems to come down. Longtime residents watch new faces arrive in the piazza during the summer, only for the streets to fall silent again when winter sets in and the temporary residents head back home. The local economy has received a modest boost in construction trade and tourism tax, but the grand demographic rescue has not materialized. The average age in these villages remains stubbornly high, and young families are not returning to stay. Instead of a sweeping rural renaissance, the towns have achieved a quiet, fragmented compromise. A few beautifully restored villas standing alongside empty stone ruins that are still waiting for a buyer. The true transaction here isn't real estate, it's a desperate trade for survival. As dying villages gamble on foreign dreamers, they aren't just selling cheap bricks, they are buying a future. Would you pay that price? Let us know below.